People are energy vampires. If you have people in your life that don't work hard, that complain about money, that complain about their job, that complain about their relationship, you are going to become that person. Slowly but surely. So for me, like I did like literally yesterday, like I'm doing a mass exodus of negative people in my life.
Well, thanks for joining this week on the Elite Sales Podcast. Very happy to have you guys here with us. I'm joined in studio this week by Yoel Aynalem, actually in front of the camera again.
What's up?
And then we got John Bacaron, normal mainstay.
Hey.
Sam engineering behind the scenes here. He gave an awkward wave. But this is the last podcast for the year, and just for everyone that's on here, I think we're all in agreement. We've reflected back on 2022. Some had a great year, some had an okay year, some are not where we want to be. So if you fit into the second or the third category, let's start off and make sure that 2023 is off to a better start. It's never too early to start planning. And what we're going to do is for January 2nd, for anyone that's in the Southern California area, you guys are welcome to come and join us physically in person. Here at the office in Los Angeles, we're going to have a dial day where we just get together, get a bunch of leads, start dialing, kick off the year right. Doesn't necessarily mean you're guaranteed results. However, you're guaranteed activity that's going to lead to some productivity eventually, right? Building up that momentum. If you guys are not physically around in the area, we're going to be doing a live dial. So that's going to be on our live dial page. It's on joinelitedials.com. Okay, and the password is 20K. So for anyone that wants to hop on, the more the merrier. We were talking about doing this ourselves anyway, but the thing is, aside from the fact that we want to get everyone off to a good start, it's always more fun to have success together. Mm-hmm. Because it's when they say it's lonely at the top, the thing is, it's a little bit lonely, but you got piles of money, so you're good. But the thing is, that's always much more gratifying when you have other people to share it with, because the thing is, anything that we or anyone that's successful has achieved, in this business in particular, this industry in particular, this company in particular, there's nothing that one person does that another person can't. Okay. Doesn't mean that they will, doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but it's all reproducible. So anything that you see someone else doing, you can do the same thing. So we're just going to do it together. We're going to hop on that live dial. So you'll be on?
Yep.
Okay.
Be on by 8.
Cool. All right. And I think that's it for announcements. But before we get started, we have Trent Miller that's going to be joining us remotely in just a second. But around the holidays, this is when a lot of people put on weight, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then when people are putting on weight, a lot of times it's not even just because of the rich, heavy foods that people are eating. It's just that people are going back for seconds and thirds, and then you have all these leftovers, and then you keep eating and eating and eating, right?
You got to finish those leftovers too, right?
You got to finish the leftovers. So, how do people heat it up? Usually using a microwave, right?
Or if you want to go worse, you refry it.
You can always do that. just put in some tempura batter, right? You guys know how the microwave was invented?
Isn't it by the military? Yeah. Sorry, I just gave it away.
No, it's okay.
Okay.
But I started thinking about this because it was something that I heard on a podcast, and they were kind of talking about it, and I'm like, it's funny how something unintended was created just by virtue of them working. So for those that don't know, the story of the microwave, how it was invented, it was by a engineer named Perry Spencer. Okay, this is back around World War II. He worked at the company now known as Raytheon. So it was a defense contractor. So during World War II, he was trying to create this magnetron, which is a tube in which they create microwaves. And then the original intent of it was to create a strong enough concentrated beam of radiation so they could use for radars to detect, enemy fire or, oncoming attacks. So that was the original intent. So he started creating this magnetron. And then the process of him, putting in all these hours, just experimenting and doing different things, candy bar in his pocket melted, right? So then he looked at it and he's like, how did this melt? And then he started to think maybe it's the exposure to these microwaves, because they're using microwave technology to send these signals, which, I mean, they're kind of like radio waves, but they're shorter, which is hence the word microwave. So then he started thinking what, why is this candy bar melted? So then he takes it a step further. He brings in popcorn kernels, and then he concentrates the magnetron and puts it directly in front of the kernels, and it started popping the corn. So in the process of him trying to come up with an invention that's going to help save American lives, initially, and then they wanted to create this as a defense product that's going to help with the World War II. In the process, he accidentally stumbled upon a machine that actually, sends these microwaves, and then he was like, why don't we just put into a metal case that's going to concentrate all this, and then it's actually the sending the microwaves. What it does, it causes water to like vibrate,
right?
And it vibrates at such a fast rate, and it's the friction between that generates the heat, right? So if you microwave something that has no moisture and no water in it, it won't microwave. It won't heat up. So, that I thought was a really, really neat invention, because the thing is, think of how many people use the microwave today.
Right.
But the thing is, going back to Perry Spencer, like, he didn't set out, hey, how do we cook food faster? How do we heat up all these leftovers? Like, his whole thing was, we have a problem. We need to provide a solution to it. So I'm just going to get to work. And the process is going to work. The thing is, we may not always recognize what exactly may come from the work that we put in. But if we put in enough work, sometimes something unexpected and something good comes out of it.
Right.
Okay. So the thing is, had he not put in that time, not put in that work, we wouldn't have the microwave today, or at least not from him.
That's true.
I like that.
So just wanted to nerd out a little bit and share that with you guys, because there's a point behind this, because if you guys were talking about starting 2023, you happy with how 2022 went?
No, could be a lot better.
Am I happy? I mean, yeah, I'm blessed, man. We got another year under our belt, but yeah, you can always do better. There's things that, mistakes I made, but yeah, I think there can always be improvement. I don't want to be like this guy that's like cliche, but blessed to have another year, but yeah, can always do better.
Okay. Which, I mean, we all should be very thankful. We all should have gratitude for number one, being alive.
Yeah.
By virtue of us actually being on this call together. I mean, it's a blessing.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as, being happy with your progress in 2022 business wise, and this is, pertaining to all of us specifically, business wise, I mean, unless you had a goal and you hit it, you're probably not as happy as you could be.
Yes.
And, and for myself, I felt like I fell short.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hit the goals that I wanted. And, it's something that I can only kick myself about, so, and, the thing is, yeah, we put in some work throughout the year. We've all been here. We've been putting work, but maybe we didn't put in the right type of work, or maybe we didn't hold each other accountable to the degree in which we needed. We didn't have a laser focused plan to put together our proverbial magnetron. So in that vein, the thing is, Trent, are you on?
Yeah, brother.
Okay. So the reason why I wanted to have Trent on, because we talked about it yesterday. He called me in the morning. We hadn't had a chance to talk. We talked about specific things normally throughout the time, but yesterday he actually just called me, just kind of filled me in on what was going on in his life, and actually was a really productive, good talk. I mean, we talked for close to an hour, and he just started going off about all the different things that he's thinking about, things on his mind. And the conclusion we both came upon was we didn't do great in 2022, like us personally. Like we could have done a lot better. And that was actually really helpful to me, because while it didn't feel good, to acknowledge that I fell short in a lot of different areas, but it felt good because I'm like, okay, cool. Someone else recognizes this about himself and myself. Yeah. And we're both in the same boat. And the thing is, the most encouraging thing was, we both can fix it.
Right.
Okay. You want to expound a little bit upon our conversation yesterday, Trent?
Yeah. So I always tend to call Albert between 6 and 7 a.m. Usually that's when I tend to call him. He's always up. But yeah, no, the other day, like I think every year I tend to do this. Kind of towards the end of the year, I tend to, self-reflect on, my personal life, my business life, and it's really proven to help me really understand who I am. I think a lot of times in the moment, we tend to point fingers at a lot of little things that may not have gone our way or stuff like that. And, I was reflecting on, what we did this year. And, I was talking to one of my friends, and she owns a couple of restaurants. She's pretty successful. She's very blunt.
Nice.
We like those people.
Yeah, extremely blunt. I'm talking to her and I'm telling her, kind of filling her in a little bit about like kind of, what I'm doing and what I've been doing. And, I told about my past, and I produced a lot of business in my past. And, and I told her, I really didn't do anything close to what I typically would do. And she looks me straight dead in the eye to my soul. And she says, I would be embarrassed if I was you. And in the moment that like sunk in a little bit to me, and like, obviously our defense mechanisms goes up, and I got a little hot chested, and I was thinking about what I was going to say back. And then I realized like, she's right. She actually, if you guys are football fans, she actually called me Tom Brady this season. Embarrassing, so that kind of hit me kind of hard, but it just goes to show that like, there's a lot of things that we don't hold each other accountable to. And it really made me realize that like, there is a lot of stuff in 2022 that was not accomplished, and to hold yourself self-accountable to make a plan, because there's only two ways, someone's going to remember you, if they just met you or when you passed or whatever. It's either the person that lived up to it or the person that did not, and unfortunately you're not going to be around to defend yourself. So for me, like I was talking to Albert about this in the morning. It was kind of a heavy conversation, man, because as friends, me and Albert, I would consider us relatively close friends. We enjoy one or two drinks together every now and then, just because they're just given to us and we have to drink them, that kind of scenario. But, it's like, as friends and friends in the business, sometimes we let each other slide. Like, you may know your buddy's slipping a little bit, like, bro, don't worry about it. And, I made an agreement. That's a big thing, like for me going into 2023, is making agreements with people on holding each other accountable, and Albert, being the good natured person he thinks, he's being my friend, kind of letting me go, hey, no, it's fine, bro, we got this going on. But in reality, we're hurting each other. So I think that goes to like, I would consider most people that work together, you're at least an acquaintance, right? So we really have to have these conversations, not because we're being mean or we're being hard on somebody. It's because like people need to know from a person that they understand, that they're close to, that they are not doing what they should be doing. They need those conversations, and we have to open up and receive those conversations. So like my big thing is, is making sure that we have a plan. I know we talked about this a little bit earlier, Albert, is to write down your plan, your short term, your middle term, and your long-term plan for 2023 and implement it. Okay. Because a lot of times, like same thing, we were talking about is it's real easy to get amped up right now. You're like, the year's over, Christmas, New Year's, whatever. I'm gonna crush it in 2023. But unless you implement and hold each other accountable within your circle, which for me, my circle is the two people below me and the two people above me. That's the people that I'm going to focus on the most, because they're going to have the heaviest influence on who I am as an individual. So it was eye-opening, man. Like I really realized that like we did slip up. We didn't grow. We didn't grow. We didn't do anything close to what we wanted to do. And the funny thing about this is it all boils down to one thing: doing things that we know we should be doing. Like, I mean, it's just, that's it. And we make all these excuses in our head, like the correlation between like dieting and working out or being healthy. We make all these excuses of why we don't have to do it, or, oh, we're good, or we may have wrote this amount of business. Like, that's not how it should work. Like, we have to grow exponentially this year to really get back what we lost in 2022. Right. And for me, like, I want to make sure that I know John's goal, Casey's goal, and Albert's goal, because if I know everyone's goal, even personal or professional, then we can support each other in obtaining these things. That's the big thing for me, because if I know John wants to be at, just based on, like, I go off VP bonuses. That's kind of how I look at it. So if I want to be at, production consistently, then I need John to be at just based on legs, right? 50%. And then John needs Albert to be at, right? And I need Casey to be at. So that's how I look at it. If we support each other and do this, we'll be successful, bro. But like going through life and just what we did, honestly, Albert, like we did the bare minimum to not get fired. Like that's that 9 to 5 mentality.
True.
I mean, it's what we did. We said we did the bare minimum so we could walk out, go home, have a drink, and go, well, I made some calls. You know, it's just not how I'm not wired that way. And I used to not be wired that way. And sometimes we forget who we are. And that's okay, dude. And I just like randomly comes out of nowhere. It's like it's a blessing to me that I got this from someone that has no idea about insurance, knows me semi-well, you know, but she gave me a real conversation, which really cued in my head to go out and stop cutting my life short with this. Like we can't have time back, right? We can't do it. It's the only thing we can't get back. So why are we wasting it?
Yep.
You know, if you want to be a producer, go be a producer. If you want to grow, grow. But like, let's start doing the things that we say we're going to do. That's number one. And implement what you know you should implement and make a plan. That's my biggest thing. I had a lot taken away from that conversation. A lot.
Yeah, it's funny because, you know, like we're all our own business owners. We're all self-employed. But the thing is that we're not really working. We're basically unemployed.
Right.
Right. Like we all get that across through our minds and understand that. But the thing is that, you know, we've put ourselves in a position where, you know, it's like, hey, I can't have a boss. You know, I can't work a 9 to 5. I can't go back, all this other stuff, all these narratives we tell ourselves. And the thing is, I don't call you, John, and be like, hey, how come you're not working?
Right.
Right. Even with my staff, I don't call you guys and be like, hey, how come you're not working? Right. Now, we entrust one another to be able to understand what the role is and put in that work, including myself. No one calls me and says, hey, you need to go do this. You need to go do this. You need to go do this. There's things that people would ask for. And then I feel responsible for those things. If it's something that fulfills what we're both trying to accomplish. But, you know, the thing is we need to just be mature enough and just recognize we can't be an island entirely in this type of business. The thing is, even if you know exactly what you're going to do, all we can do if we're an island is we just self-assess.
Yep.
And when we self-assess, look at what happened in 2022. Obviously, the assessments were incorrect.
Yeah.
The self-assessments were insufficient.
Or that in the self-assessment didn't require or have repercussions.
Right.
Because you're your own boss, right? So what do? Sorry, boss. Didn't happen. And then your other boss says, all right. There's no repercussions to it.
Well, I mean, even recently with even amongst our own staff, I mean, you know, the things we looked at, I can't be upset at them for certain objectives we didn't hit because it's a two-way street. It's a team effort. And like, if I didn't hold them accountable to it, or I didn't bring it up sooner because, you know, I'm not paying attention to those particular things, then, you know, I can't blame them. Like we're all part of this bigger interconnected unit, and we all need to hold each other accountable. And, you know, that's the reason why I love that conversation with Trent yesterday, because as much as we felt like crap about ourselves initially, because we're like, you know, because the thing is, if the year in 2022 didn't get you further where you want to be business wise, you get, at least if you can look back and be like, hey, personally, things were awesome. I spent a lot of time off doing all the things that I wanted to do. I'm further ahead in my personal relationships. I had personal success. Business wise, I put that aside for the meantime. But if you didn't achieve one or the other, it was a completely wasted year.
Yeah.
And I just know from my conversations with a lot of other people, you know, maybe some of you guys are in the same boat. Mm-hmm. And for those of you where this doesn't apply at all, great on you. I'm super happy for you guys, and I'm glad you guys had that self-discipline to continue to stick with it. You know, but for all of us, the most encouraging thing after our call was we're like, dude, we know what we need to do.
Yeah.
We just got to go to work and we got to fix this thing.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, because there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things moving, a lot of little projects, and a lot of tasks.
Yeah.
Reassessing what tasks like 100% needed to be done by you or needed to be done in general, right? Like we get caught, like for me, I'm like, dude, it's been 2 weeks and this certain project that I needed to do like hasn't been done. And like, yeah, I might have been waiting on this, but why didn't I make it happen? It's been 2 weeks, right? Like the weeks go by so fast. You might be genuinely working, you might be genuinely busy, but what tasks are you kind of leaving behind, or what are you letting slip through through the cracks by your busy work? You know what I mean? Like, I think that's one of the bigger things that I've been reflecting back on is like, okay, like I was working. Yeah. Like I'm not going to get it. Let's not get it twisted, but what things are you prioritizing over things that you should be prioritizing, you know?
And yeah, one real big takeaway I've gotten away from this, and like, you know, Trent and I were good friends, and we can be very frank with each other, very blunt with one another. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, we know it's all love.
Yeah.
You know, but I've also recognized this about myself. And like a lot of times I give people too much autonomy, and I'm just like, you know, it's their business. Like I shouldn't say anything. When in reality, looking back at all of our respective situations and our direct relation to one another, if it didn't help push you further, then it was actually a disservice to not speak up.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
And the thing about accountability too is like, you know, like Trent was saying about the advice that he got or the criticism that he got, it doesn't feel good. But you know, that's the thing about we got to make the distinction between if it's helpful or if it's mean. And the thing sometimes it comes off as mean because we're all human, we all have an ego, and we take it that way because we feel like it's a personal attack. Where in actuality, that bit of criticism is actually because they want you to do better or they expect more out of you. You know, so we got to be mature enough to recognize that part. And you know, just another thing about accountability, even if it's mean, but it helps you get to your objective faster or more clearly. Like no one ever said everyone was supposed to be nice to you.
Yeah.
So if it's mean and it's productive for your work, or it's something that's supposed to be part of helping you get further along, just deal with it.
Yeah, that's part of business. You know, you can't involve too much of your emotions into business.
Yeah. And it's funny because like when Trent was saying like, yeah, like, you know, she said that to me and like my ego's in the way and I was like kind of mad. It's like that always happens, right? Our initial reaction is like, man, they don't know. Like, you know, I'm dealing with this, blah, blah, blah. Like she doesn't understand. But then you start to reflect. It might be a couple hours, couple days, and you'll be like, they're right, low key. Like they might not be 100% right. You know, they don't know the situation, right? But there's a certain percentage usually when someone calls you out where you're like, you know what? Like, yeah, you're right. Like I do need to step up here, you know, like that's what good friends should do. You know, good friends, good family, they should call you out when it may be uncomfortable for them, or you may, you know, be defensive, be like, hey man, I see you walking towards this ditch and hey, there's a ditch in front of you. You can be like, you don't know. It's like, nah, man, I'm letting you know right now. I see it. You might not, you know, I'm saying it because I love you. I might be wrong, but I'm gonna just let you know. You know, that's what good people do.
It's not even just good people. I mean, the thing is, even if you get criticism from a stranger, you get a hater, someone just says like you're capping, like you're lying about what you're doing, you're not actually as good as you think you are. I mean, the thing is, it doesn't mean we need to internalize all that, because obviously our first reaction is to be defensive.
Yeah.
You know, we need to protect our ego at all costs. Generally, that's how the human works. But then, you know, if you actually just reflect back, and because like if you actually reflect on it and you're like, that's actually not true, and I actually don't do that, this person doesn't know me, then if it's coming from a stranger, you can move on. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you actually reflect back and you're like, you know what, I kind of was capping about that. I kind of was, you know, not being honest with myself, or I'm telling myself I'm doing better than I actually am. I mean, there's actually constructive, you know, something constructive that comes of that. If you're willing to actually reflect and look at yourself.
Yeah. That initial response is usually like that's always my initial response. If there's something that I disagree with somebody on, I'll be like, I don't think so. But then I'll dig deeper and then I'll reflect on it. You know, I won't make any drastic decisions based off of one conversation, but I'll reflect on it. I think it's important we just reflect. You know, that's the biggest thing, and have discernment of, you know, hey, what criticism's valid, what's not valid. Like, you know, I make a lot of content for Elite and for my own content, and, you know, people are haters, right? People comment, right? So for me, I like to read it because I get an idea of what people think about the content, right? But then there's obviously a certain percentage of it where people are just hateful. People are just trying to nitpick. People are just trying to troll. And you have to discern the trolling from the genuine like critiques or genuine like other perspective. So that's something that's a good skill to have.
Yeah. For me, like when it comes down to positive feedback or negative feedback, right? So whatever your feedback you're getting, you got to really just identify it. Like, what is your reaction to it? Is it pissing you off? Are you feeling like it's true? Or is it hurting you, or is it challenging you? Right? There's some good feedbacks out there. If someone tells you this, what's your immediate reaction? I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to prove myself right on what your belief is. So maybe those conversations were missed out where I personally may have not challenged individuals that way, right? To where I let them do their own thing, because in my mind state, I didn't want to press them and say, hey, why aren't you working? Or why aren't you getting and hitting your goals? Where I could maybe worded that to say, hey, let's get you to a better level, right? Let's challenge you to the next phase of this business.
Well, also, like, say you do try to, give someone criticism or help them, and then they act defensive, right? And then you turn into like a 4-year-old. You're like, oh, okay, well, if you don't want me to help you, then I guess I won't. Like
that's where tact comes in, right?
That's like very immature, and we all kind of like fall into that. Like I fall into that where it's like, oh, okay, like I was trying to help. Like you're being disrespectful to me. I'm trying to help, right? But it's like we can't really have that type of maturity. We gotta have a little bit more, faith and wisdom that, at the end of the day, if you're trying to help, not being disrespectful. And if they're, being defensive, it is what it is. That's on them,
Well, it's funny because Trent and I were actually joking about that. Some of the situations we've been dealing with between John and Trent, Casey, amongst our group, we all have a sense of humor. It's not always the most mature, so we use a little sarcasm from time to time. And then the thing is, we're trying to address this problem. We hit a dead end, and then we just joke about it. We all get a good laugh because we think we're funny. Not everyone may agree, but we think we're funny. And then we all have a laugh, and then we put that problem aside again. We don't actually address the actual issue itself. Yeah. So, that's something that I was like, look, this upcoming year, the thing we can't dwell on our problems that we can't fix immediately anyway. So we have to recognize those things. But for the things that you actually can't fix, let's not waste time. Let's go ahead and fix it. Mm-hmm. For the things you can't fix, acknowledge it, recognize it's an immovable object at the moment. Move aside, focus on things you can control.
Yeah. Compartmentalize it.
Yeah. And that's something in 2023 that I'm definitely going to make a conscious effort on my part to, number one, not be so funny. No, but I mean, just stop using the sarcasm in unhealthy situation or in an unhealthy way in certain situations that pertains to my business. Yeah. Personally, I can mess up all I want. Yeah. Say that's a fair assessment, Trent?
Extremely fair.
Trent, I'm curious. I want to dig deep into that conversation. I'm curious, so she just said, what
were you guys at dinner?
I'd be embarrassed if I was you. Like, did she give any follow up? Like, what did she say? I mean, you don't gotta, expose too much if you're not comfortable.
Oh, bro, I don't care. Yeah. So,
I know.
No, we were just honestly, man. We're just hanging out, at her house, and we're just kind of talking about because she opened up a new restaurant, so we're kind of just talking about business and stuff like that. She works a lot. So we kind of we're just diving into that. And so since she met me, she's always kind of chuckled at me. She's like, what do you sell drugs? You never work. What do you, you never work. What do you, I don't understand. What's you spend all this money if you don't work. I don't understand what's going on. And she's, her culture is a little bit more brash than mine, but anyway, it doesn't matter. But yeah, so she just she was telling me I was explaining with how I used to be before COVID, dude. I was a grinder, man. I was working 9 to 9 every day, not because I had to, but that's just how I was. And it felt it was first nature for me to get up, go to the gym, get in the field by 9 o'clock, go do my appointments, make money, come back, party all night, and do it all. That's what I did. I was a machine. And she's looking at me and she's like, well, what's going on? Why aren't you doing that now? I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, Trent, to be honest, I would be embarrassed if I was you walking around. And to me, like I said, it was just the whole context of the conversation, came from a good point, but it just made me realize, because we do, we always say, yeah, we're all right. Yeah. We're good. Bills are paid. I got a little bit in the bank. Everything's gravy, but sometimes, dude, it's not, and things pop up in business. Things pop up in life. And it's like, I really like, I know for me, I can say this definitely, and even in the past 2 years for me, like I lost sight. I'm not gonna say but I did. So I'm gonna regain it. I lost sight in who I was and who my brand as an individual and what I owe to myself. I lost track of that, and it really like reinvigorated me. So like I was thinking about it the night before and I was like, let it sit. Because you're right. When someone tells us we're not doing what we should do, we put all this stuff in the way. Oh, well, this happened or this happened with them and that happened there. And then we did this and that couldn't work out. And we create all these crazy excuses. But in all actuality, like I know what I did. I cut myself short, which is the worst thing you can do to yourself. I mean, there's people your whole life that want to cut you off. They're always going to cut you short. There's people your whole life, they're going to try to pull you down. The last person that you want to pull you down is yourself. And that just hit home for me, man. And me and Albert have pretty candid conversations, so I felt like I had to call him. So I was thinking about it, like, I got to call him. I got to figure this out and see if we're on the same page. Because it is, man, like you also to go on to that, like I've surrounded myself by certain people during this time period that were not productive. And I'm not talking about work related, but personally related. So it dragged that down too. So it's so important to like, when you wake up in the morning, you have to make a decision on how you want to perceive yourself. And you have to be honest with it. And you have to make sure your energy is surrounded by people that also have positive energy. If they don't have positive energy, I'm not saying kick them out your life, but you need to minimize that. Perfect example. My mother, love her to death. She created me. That's awesome. She's hilarious, but she's negative. So if I'm having a good day, I hit her with the custom text. Can I call you later? Which means I can call you till tomorrow. But that you just have to limit these things because people are energy vampires. If you have people in your life that don't work hard, that complain about money, that complain about their job, that complain about their relationship, you are going to become that person. Slowly but surely. So for me, like I did like literally yesterday, like I'm doing a mass exodus of negative people in my life. If you are negative, you get blocked, homie. That's it. Don't call me. That's just what it is. I mean, that's what has to be done. And it took me a year and a half, dude, 18 months out of my life, okay, which is basically 1/25 of my entire life I wasted not realizing that. And I refuse to do that anymore. And I think everyone should feel that way about themselves. No one should be able to control your career. No one should be able to control your happiness. No one should be able to control who you want to be at the end of the day. And that's just where I'm at, bro. Like I'm coming out here like a hurricane, dude. Like I'm not playing games anymore, dude. I'm just not. I'm not cutting my life short. I'm not doing that to myself, man. I'm already too short. I can barely ride on rides at King's Dominion. I'm already so I can't cut myself any shorter than I already am,
man.
So what was one of the goals that you shared with me yesterday as far as your production for this upcoming year?
Yeah, so I want to at least write this coming year,
which is Hall of Fame,
which isn't even the most I've written in 12 months. It's not. But like for me, I need to hold myself accountable to do that. And it's really it's not hard. It's mentally tough. This job is golf. It's just mentally tough, bro. It's not physically hard. You're gonna knock a couple in the rough. That's fine. You're gonna knock a couple in the water. That's cool too. Drop it, hit it again. That's how it's gonna have to be. And I just know that you have to be realistic and not expect full-time results on a part-time effort. And I guarantee you 70% of people in this industry do that, if not more. I mean they're gaslighting themselves.
Gaslighting. So for you to hit that, right, from the actions you've done from the year and a half you were saying to get to that level, what has to change for you? Where do you feel like the number one main thing that you're gonna do differently?
There's two things, man. It's just self-accountability and consistency. That's it, man. I gotta be consistency is key to anything in life, no matter what you're trying to do. That's number one. Understand the plan, understand the routine, and following through with that. And then also self-accountability to know that the days that I don't want to do it, because anyway, bro, when you wake up and you feel good, have yourself a good little night, woke up, took a shower, at the gym, you feel good. That's easy to go to work, bro.
Right.
But it's the days that you don't feel like working. It's the day after you just wrote an issue paid business.
So
It's that day after that you need to go to work. What you laughing at, Albert? You got jokes over there?
7 families.
7 families, not 7,000, because we don't talk numbers.
Yeah. Seven families, So, but that's the big thing. It's like that's the mentality, because I'm a culprit of it too. Like, I'll go out there and, I'll protect 5 of these families in one day. And I'm like, all right, man, like I'm cool. It's Thursday. I'm all right. I'll just take phone calls all day. And we think phone calls, that's the mess up part too. We think phone calls is working. Bro, it's not. It's not. Like, you physically have to be moving yourself forward. If you're not at a level where you're producing $1 million, $2 million, $3 million a month, bro, you can't just take phone calls. You can't. Like, you have to get out there and show these people what to do. You can't. That's why people fall off, is because we tell them all this stuff we used to do and all this business, how easy it is. And they get in here and their main upline ain't working. How are they going to be successful? So we need to create a culture in which we go to work. Like, this is, I don't care this is literally, you got to clock in and clock out. You do. You have to be self-accountable in your head, what your clock in and clock out is. Like, I remember before COVID, I would get home at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, and my feet would be vibrating from how much I was moving around all day. Vibrating, dude. I would sit there and I'd down a bottle of wine. I felt like a G, because I just killed it that day.
That's a good feeling, by the way. Like,
it
you
is.
gotta, like,
the
hard
best.
days work is like unreplaceable.
Productive day, right?
Productive days, like, just feels good.
And I think everyone has to ask themselves, when did that happen last?
Yeah.
When the last time you felt that confidence in yourself, right?
Well, not even the confidence, dude. Like the last time, like, you legitimately, your body was telling you you had a long, hard day at work. Not just you in your head. Like, oh, this person didn't buy, or this person answered the like not like that. Like, your body is physically telling you, like, bro, you went after it. That's the best feeling in the entire world. The body don't lie, brother. It just doesn't. The mind will. The body won't. So
There's
it's like
a lot to be said
that.
for that. Yeah, there's a lot to be said for that, because the thing is, even on those days when you put in 100%, you went all out, did everything you're supposed to do, even if you didn't get the results, you have that sense of achievement and fulfillment just by virtue of you have done the work.
Yeah.
100%.
And just to and for all of you guys that are on here that are either new, you're struggling, you think you need more product knowledge, think you need more training, all this other stuff. I mean, if you have any doubts about this business, let me just tell you guys just how little talent and ability and all that actually means. Because the thing is, Trent's a guy that I've known for a while. We're good friends. He was always a top producer at our former company.
Mhm.
He was here for a previous stint for a few months. And in those months, he helped 25, 30 families a month. You weren't killing it by your standards by any stretch, but you were out there producing at a pretty high clip. But the thing is it had nothing to do with ability. This time back around, it's not like he's gotten any worse. The only thing was we lacked discipline together as a group. And I say we, because the thing is, as friends, I mean, I looked at it like, it's the pandemic. He's got some personal stuff going on. He wants to spend his time doing this. He wants to pursue these other projects. He wants to do all that. And for me, I didn't hold him accountable to that. And the thing is, if I had held him accountable and, I just said, like, bro, like, you're not moving forward in your business. Are you good? And if he said he was good, I'd leave him alone. But, we never had that conversation because I don't know. It didn't occur to me. So that's 100% my fault. But, for everyone else that's watching, it has nothing to do with talent.
Yeah.
It has everything to do with your willingness to have the discipline, just put in the work and just doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether you feel like it or you don't. That's it.
Yeah, it has nothing whatsoever to do with talent. It's really consistency, man. I mean, and I'll be pretty candid. That's the only language I typically speak. I can't tell you how many times that I've caught myself, and I'm sure everyone in this room has done that. You see, top producers, right? Writing a bunch of business. in your head, you're like, that dude's a clown. Like, how does that happen? Bro, he follows the system. You don't have to be the most talented. You don't have to be the quickest talker. You don't have to be the quickest thinker. Like, all you have to do is be consistent. And the big thing that I've had to learn is continue to educate yourself on the business. And that's hard when you've been in the business for, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, is that we think we know it all. We become uncoachable. And I've been a culprit of that. You're like, nah, dude, I got this. Like, I know the deal. But no, we have to continue to learn different strategies. Like, the economy is drastically different than it was 12 months ago. So we have to adapt to that. I was watching this podcast a long time ago, and the guy made the correlation to education that he's like, imagine if I, worked out every day, at the gym every day up until I was 25. And I say, you know what? I'm good. I'm fine. I'm fine. And then I stopped working out. What do you think is going to happen? I'm going to get fat. I'm going to get deconditioned. It's the same thing with the brain. The brain deconditions extremely fast. So we have to understand, we have to educate ourselves. We don't know it all. We have to reach out. And that's why I see a lot of people fail, is that our pride literally holds us back from so much stuff in our life. Our pride, this thing that doesn't even really exist, like this ghost of some guy being like, nah, you don't need that. Nah, bro, you got it. Like, it don't even make sense. Like, we have to put our pride aside and become students of our own business. And once we do that, we're good. We have to remind ourselves, just like Albert said, like, yeah, I mean, hypothetically, if Albert said, hey, Trent, like, are you good? Like, you're not doing what you said you're going to do. Would I have adhered to that? Maybe, maybe not. But he said it, and he brought that out. That's the big thing. And I think we have to be open to that, because we close ourselves up to criticism. Like, criticism, it has like the worst name on it ever. Criticism. Even sounds like it just smells bad. Criticism. Like, it just doesn't even sound fun at all. Like, it's like people ask me, like, hey man, you should run. I go, hey, when was the last time you saw a person running with a smile on their face? Never. So I'm like, no, I am good. I'll watch you be mad running down the road. But criticism, like, we have to be open. It's a good thing, man. Criticism is how we grow. And as adults, we become more and more closed off to criticism. We do. So if we get open to that, like, this is a constant thing with me, like, personally, things that I have to work on. You know what I'm saying? Consistency, self-accountability. Like, those are so big, for me to work on in 2023. And I guarantee if everybody in here does that, you are going to crush it. You're going to crush it. It's not a foolproof plan. It's not. And if you don't crush it, maybe this ain't for you. I mean, that's just what it is. But, like, at least you gave it 100. I feel a lot better failing at 100%. And a lot of people aren't like that. A lot of people rather fail at 80 because they do what? I could have done this. This X, Y, and Z do. Nah, bro. When I fail at 80, all I can think about is why I didn't do the other 20. That's it. But I'm crazy. I don't know.
Okay, so aside from the accountability this upcoming year, if you're a new agent and you're afraid to buy leads, what do you need to do to get over that?
Get out of the business.
Fair. Now,
I mean, this is how I look at it. Like, you have to understand that you are running your own business. We are paid a very high compensation level. With that compensation level, there's investments. You can't be afraid to invest in yourself. That goes right back to holding yourself accountable. That's my investment in myself. Whether it's personal, emotional, or financial or physical, you have to invest in yourself. I mean, you just have to, like, you want to talk about investment? Go open up a gym. You got $1 million in your bank account to do that? Go open up a restaurant. You're going to put $5 million in that. You're getting that back for 10 years. So $1,000, $2,000. Come on, man. You're probably spending that at the bar every weekend. Like, we can't be like that. And I've been like that sometimes. But look, at the end of the day, I don't know who said this or who I heard this from. It's like, people be like, hey, like, I can't afford leads. I got to pay rent. Right? It'd be on the 20th. Let's say this person got $3,000 in the bank. I got to pay rent. Well, look, dog, you pay rent, you're still broke. Why don't you take that $3,000, throw in some leads and get to work? So I'm telling you right now, it's extremely rare. I mean, extremely rare. Not saying it never happens, I would say less than 1% of the time, if you put 2,000 or 3,000 leads, you don't make any money. It's super rare. Like, it would have to be, I would call you a liar if you said you did. I would. It's almost impossible. So it's the same thing. Like, and that hit home with me because we've all been tight at some point in our life. We all have. Where you're looking at your bank account going, ooh, this ain't looking good. Like we've all been there, but you have to invest in yourself. It's like compound interest, right? You guys ever heard of the rule of 72? So whatever the interest rate is, divide that by 72, and that's how many years it's going to take for you to double your money. So it's very similar. Let's think about doubling our money, right? Doubling our money. If I put 2,000, I get 4,000. I get 4,000. I take that 4,000. I'll put another 4,000 back, and now I have 8. So it's just constant. It's just compound. If you keep doing that, you'll be fine. And really, if you stop worrying about the money and start thinking about the number you want to produce, you'll write more business. That's it, hands down.
So the follow-up question to that is, now that an agent's bought the leads, but they don't want to dial, what do you tell them?
You're crazy. Just next time you want to do that, just give me the money. I don't have to make these. What? That's like buying a pair of J's and not wearing them. I'm wearing them same day. This doesn't make any sense. Like, the reason you're buying leads is to make money. If you're not gonna work the leads, don't buy them. Go to you go work at Chick-fil-A. I'll see you on Saturday. I love it. I get some nuggets. But so you gotta get out there and that's crazy to me. Like, you buy leads to make money. You don't buy leads to look at them. Oh, Mary Smith, John Albert, Karen, Evelyn, Sarah, Marie. No, I'm calling them. I'm calling them until the ink falls off the paper I wrote them on. And there's so many different avenues. You got call tools. There's so many. You got live transfers. You got your old style of you calling yourself. You have texting services. Like, I will call somebody or pursue this individual, and I haven't been doing this, but once again, we talked about this, right? Doing things you should be doing. I used to call people and pursue them until they literally told me, "Leave me alone, Trent," and then I would still follow up with, "Are you sure?" Like, that's how we have to be. So when you buy leads, you're not buying leads to have leads. We have to make that very clear. You are not buying leads to stockpile leads. You're buying leads to do what? Make money, protect families, whatever your fancy is. If you're in insurance because you love helping people, that's awesome. You know why I do insurance? Because I make money and someone happens to get helped. That's why I do it. And you have to look at your phone as an avenue to making money. We have to stop being scared of the phone. If you're scared of the phone, once again, Chick-fil-A, baby. I'll see you in the drive-thru.
Great advice. So clearly you don't have any problems with rejection because you've had so much of it.
Yeah, of course.
No, but joking aside,
yeah.
For agents that are afraid to call or afraid to just get out there or unmute themselves on live dials because they're afraid of rejection, how do they get over it?
You have to make the correlation between dialing being a good thing. You have to. Number one, like, these people, you're never going to meet, right? They don't pay my bills. So if I'm not going to meet you and you don't pay my bills, you have no impact on my life. And I'm sure everyone at our age has been called a couple of nasty names. I have, mostly to my face. That's just how it is. So it's like, you have to get over the fact is, like, I'm not dialing to please people. I'm dialing because that's part of my job. You work at McDonald's, what do? You work the fryer sometimes, you flip some patties, you hit the cash. It's part of your job. So if you don't dial, nothing else is going to happen. So you can't be afraid of rejection because they don't impact your life. It's as simple as I can put it. If someone calls me a nasty name, obviously, like, once again, when someone comes at you, you get defensive. First thing. That's the first mistake. For me, like, I always laugh and rebuttal. That's my big thing to teach anybody. Anything that someone says to you that throws you off, laugh and rebuttal. And if it doesn't work, cool. Not a big deal, bro. I got 1,000 leads. See you later. 999 left. That's just the number thing. So you can't be afraid of it. And if you have a correlation between, like, I always like statistics, right? So you should know, like, based on your leads you're buying, how many pickups you typically get. That's number one. Semi-important, but you have to call, right? The biggest thing is how many people you get on the phone and what happens when you get them on the phone. That's the biggest correlation. to a booked appointment or a non-booked appointment, if you understand your numbers mathematically, like I was taught when I had the biggest month I ever had, I was taught to count your no's. Because based on your percentages, you can turn a no into a positive. So if I know I close 70% of people and I close one and then I get a no, then I'm like, cool, only got 2 no's left. That's how you should think about it. So have fun with this, man. Like this job, like, dude, there's a lot of bad jobs out there, man. Like, I mean, there are a lot of jobs where you really like, you're coming home hurt because, bro, you've been working and probably not making that much money. So like, enjoy this. This is fun. Talk to people. If they're mean, who cares? Like, would you care if someone you never even met before said something nasty about you that you never saw? No. If I cared about that, I would be looking for something to hang myself on right now because I'm sure it's going around everywhere. I don't care. You know, I don't care. So like, you have to enjoy it. If someone's being mean, cool, great, bye, click, go. But make the correlation to making money and making phone calls. If you're broke, there's 2 things you do. Either you can deal with people, a couple of strangers being mean, okay, and make money. This is the fun one. This is the fun thing. Well, I don't know why I'm doing that movement, but this is the fun one. This one is being broke. Which one do you want to do? This is not the door you want to open because this one affects you a lot. So it affects your family. So I'll take a couple no's to make some money. Sure, I'll take about 35 no's in a minute if I'll make $1,000. No. Cool, sounds good. Bye. And start over. You know, so you have to just be positive. Like that's the positivity, man. Like this world is a boomerang. If you're negative, what happens? You get negative shit back. I mean, you can't avoid that. If you're positive, it's not always going to work out. But at least I'm giving myself a good chance to have some positive energy. You know, you ever notice negative people have negative stuff happen to them a lot?
Yes.
You know, I mean, it happens all the time. And if you're around those negative people, you need to kick those people to the curb. They belong to the streets. You know, like, that's not a person I'm going to be around. So it's like new people. And I was new. I remember when I first started, phone calls are rough. You know, because the first couple times you call, your tonalities are all messed up. You're sweating. You know, just dude, sit back, get comfortable. And I got destroyed on the phone for the first couple of weeks. Let's be real, I did. But then I started to like it. Because I used to look forward, because we dial so much, don't you want to talk to somebody? So if someone gets on the phone, I'm excited. You have to talk to these people like you're excited. Because you should be. Step 1, got them on the phone. Check. That's a good thing. Right? People, I don't know why I fill this out. Albert, that's exactly why I'm calling. My name is boom. Well, I don't get that's exactly why I'm calling. Just keep going at it. You know? And then when they tell you no, for me, you have to tell me no 3 times for me to let it go. That's not personal life, though. 3 times for me to let it go. Because on the 4th time, you become a really bad person, right? So in sales, I rebuttal once, I rebuttal again, and one final rebuttal. But when you rebuttal, you have to rebuttal into a solution. You can't rebuttal and pause. If you rebuttal and pause, you go right back to the same thing, you know? So it's like, this job is not hard. I'll sum this up. It's not hard. Make phone calls. Phone calls are positive. The reason why no one likes to make phone calls is because we're not making the connection between our bank account. If I said, Albert, if you make 300 phone calls a day for the next year, you're going to have $500,000 in your bank account. Albert's fingertips are going to be falling off. It's a fact. So this is one thing we talk about, Albert, self-accountability. And I'm telling you, I can be honest with you. I am telling you these things that I am not currently doing.
Well, that's great stuff. And in the vein of self-accountability, there's times when it does fail you if you don't have right people around you. So, you know, we've acknowledged that already. So if you guys have a problem with that, or you guys you feel like you can get better in that area, if you don't have a specific plan, or you don't know how to get rejected on the phone, you don't know how to take rejection, January 2nd, let's all do this together. Let's hop on. I'm going to be on. Trent's going to be on. John's going to be on. All the cool people are going to be on. Yeah. Yeah, so if you fancy yourself being cool, make sure you hop on. But you know, the stuff that Trent was sharing and Yoel and John, all that stuff. Look, we need accountability with one another, because there's times when you'll have a little bit of self-doubt. There's times when you question your methods, and you start seeing other people do it. Not necessarily that they're going to have a ton of success that you can always pick up from, but you know that you're not in this alone.
Right.
So the more that we can see that, the more that we can do that. It's the things that we can do for other people. And, all of us want to contribute to this. All of us want to help other people out in the process of us becoming successful ourselves, and, creating that win-win's an awesome thing. So make sure you guys hop on, let's start there, so for the rest of the year, whatever you guys have planned, I hope you guys are safe. Hope you guys enjoy yourselves. Hope you guys get a chance to reflect back on 2022. Let's make sure you guys write down your goals for 2023. And if you really want to grow, share that with somebody that's going to keep you accountable. And, let's make sure that we have our best year ever. Anything else you guys wanted to share?
Nah, Trent, you said it all, man. Great stuff. And the craziest part is, like, if you've been in the insurance industry for more than a year, it wasn't anything new.
Yeah.
It's just something we're not doing sometimes.
That's it. It was our fault. And I like that.
Yeah.
We can fix it.
Yeah.
So appreciate you guys. Let's go out there and let's go be elite, guys.